Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry, and today I'm going to talk to you of another film that I will. This film, by the time this film was this video was released, it would have to be around the time that this film is currently out in theaters or playing. Um, I had the pleasure of actually seeing this film earlier, and I mentioned it in the following video review of T.I.'s West horror film X. I'm gonna talk about Pearl and what that kind of what's that all about, and hopefully, by the time that this is released again, that the movie has come out. Um, to be honest with you, really about this film, I enjoy this a lot more than X. And the reason why I think I enjoy this a little bit more and what I caught on is that what T.I. West is trying to do is, and I think there's a third film coming out, but focusing on Pearl, what I really, really loved about this film is that it feels very old school. Like the film is set in 1918, where it feels like it was made during like the 30s or the 40s or like the 50s, like it feels very old school cinema. And it's more drama than it is horror. And that's what really sells it for me is that this is more of a drama base about this character Pearl, played by Mia Goth, who is a little bit socially weird, and then she takes her progression out on marine animals. She, lives at that farm, the farm that's you seen in X. She lives there, and she has a really deep part from it, from from that year the movie is set in 1918 to the time that the film X takes place, I think in the 70s, in 1979. Which is kind of sad, to be honest with you, because when you see Pearl, you see her do some certain things, some monstrous things. You see her as a character who hasn't lived the life that she wanted, hasn't really. She wants to feel important. She wants to feel loved, respectfully. She wants to feel like she exists, like she's cared for. But you feel that her character feels she feels so many different restraints that she can't go out and join a dancing competition for a role, or she can't go out on a date, or she can't. Her life is very sheltered. Just do chores, try to be a good person. Her character is also married. I think the character Howard, who also shows up in the film X, I think that's the same guy. He's off in the war, and you see her mentally struggling with that, and then she takes her aggression out on animals. Her father in the film, he's in a comatose state, and but it's not really. So she's glued to taking care of her dad, but also having to follow the rules of her mother, um, who's very strict and has this sort of like caution and resentment against her daughter, and also their has nothing to do with it. Trying to be cautious of the American culture with the rise of World War One happening. They're German. They have the mother German. I don't know about the father. Um, so she puts a heavy burden, the mother, on Pearl, and to the point where she feels like she has all this responsibility, taking care of, overseeing everything, which she really hates. She hates it to the point that it almost drives her insane and becomes very resentful of her daughter that she has to bear all this responsibility and yet she doesn't have time for herself. And you even see that at times where she even cries, the mom cries at herself of the life that she's living and taking care of, you know, someone, her husband, who's doesn't have the ability to take care of himself. And you see the horror she goes through. And I mean, I haven't had that experience, so you can only imagine where I think the film touches on a theme of human needs not being met, where we have desires, we have fulfillment that we want to grasp, but there's always something in the way, or there's people that are convincing us we shouldn't get that because somebody else is suffering from something else, or or we fear that they're gonna do better um, in life than we are, jealousy and being unfulfilled, and not having your meet needs met. Also, Pearl's character is married, but since I'm sorry, this was like a spoiler. I'm spoiling the movie, so I'm gonna dial back on it because I don't want to spoil too much. But I'm kind of getting to lay down. This movie is just mostly about her or just Pearl's origins, about trying to just her life, what her life was like, and how she's trying to branch out of that and trying to be her own person. And she does it in a very vile way, where you do see her kill people. But again, what I really loved about this film, and this is it sets itself as a period piece drama with horror elements, and sometimes it doesn't feel like a horror film, but when the horror happens and you see Pearl commit these acts of violence, sometimes it's actually kind of funny. The writing on this is great. Like Ti is nails it at the park with his writing in this film when it comes to sympathizing with Pearl, but also being afraid of her and her condition or what she's capable of. And there's a good scene where she admits to her friend of her needs not being met by saying she did cheat, met some guy, and feeling confined of living with her parents, and also hoping to that being married to him is her way to avoid the life that she's living, where she does not want to freaking live it. Like she feels trapped, and the admitting to some of the murders that she's done in the film, which creeps out the girl, and it's so hilarious and funny and suspenseful. It's heavily well done, and it's like all that mixture in the one was just great. Um, and that kind of happens like towards the end of the film, where I what I and also the film not feeling like your average horror film doesn't play out like your average horror film, and that's what really sells this movie for me. That doesn't follow it doesn't follow the story arc or anything like or not story like the horror formula of traditional horror films. It's similar to like Joker, but in my opinion, I think this is a better origin story than the Joker Todd Phillips version. This film nails it I believe, and it shows how great you can genre bend with horror, and it's all about the performances. I'm gonna tell you right now, Mia Goth in here is amazing here. I will be mad if she doesn't get an Oscar nomination because every moment, every scene that she is in, she steals it. She delivers terror. You feel sorry for her at times. You find her funny, and you get all that all in one scene. There's a certain scene in there, actually the scene I mentioned earlier where she admits all that, and there are quite a few scenes where she deals with her mom. You feel all that. And there's a certain scene that involves with the scarecrow, which I won't spoil. She delivers every single moment, and you understand her, but you're also scared of her, of what she's going through. Kind of similar of her counterpart in X, but you learn more of her life here, and it's very tragic. What I also loved about it is that the tribute they paid tribute to those movies, those old school movies back in the day, and they mixed that genre hella good with horror. It's freaking phenomenal. I'm gonna tell you, this is going to be one of my favorite films of this year. I liked it better than X. I know DVDs are going to be obsolete, but this is one film I would definitely want to own in my collection. Pearl, when this comes out, my God, you have to watch this film. This film, I love this film. I loved it. I loved it. This is the kind of film where it makes you feel like you're inspired to, like for me as a film writer and filmmaker someday, it has that quality of wanting to inspire you to write and just go out there and film something, because this film feels so different from unlike any other film. Like it feels like pure love of paying tribute to other genres of certain movies that inspired the filmmaker T.A. West, and mixed it in something, created something very unique here with this piece of work. And then after watching it, I feel like I should do something similar. I mean, in my own way, of course, but just this movie is just freaking good. I loved it. I loved, like, I walked out of it. I loved it. I love this film. Like, I could see myself literally watching it three times in one day. This, how good this film was. It actually might be one of my favorite horror films. This film was phenomenal. Um, like, I really love this film. Pearl. Yeah, I've seen it. Comment below. Let me know. Um, please support art house films like this. We got to get more of them. And let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.